Okay, so you know how whenever you see a Time magazine cover,
Yeah.
you always get that feeling like, whoa, history.
Right.
It's right there.
Absolutely.
That red border.
Oh, yeah.
Super iconic.
Yeah.
It's like a snapshot.
Totally.
Well, a lot of you have been asking about how men and women have been portrayed on Time covers.
Mm-hmm.
And we hear, yeah. So we did a deep dive into the data, starting from 1923.
Wow.
All the way up to 2024. And
a whole century.
yeah, basically.
Wow.
And I got to say, what we found is pretty fascinating.
It is. I mean, it really tells the story, doesn't it?
Oh, it totally does.
Yeah.
Like, the thing that really stood out to me
Yeah.
was just how many dudes were on the covers.
Yeah.
Are you ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
In the data skies, we take our flight. Trends and numbers come to life. Colors and charts, they dance and play. Showing truth in a visual way. In GenderDecoded, we uncover truths and stories like no other. In the data waves we find the secret maps of humankind.
We're looking at gender representation on those Time covers from 1923 all the way to now 2024.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, close to a century.
100 years of Time magazine covers.
Exactly. And the big question is, really, did Time just mirror what was happening in society?
Right.
Or did it actually, like, have a hand in shaping those ideas about gender that we have?
Yeah, like, did they just reflect it, or were they actually influencing it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
So to kind of kick things off, I was looking at some of the data, and it's pretty striking just how many men are on those early covers.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting when you start looking at the numbers from like the 1920s to the early 2000s.
Okay.
Men were featured on the cover over 80% of the time.
Wow.
Sometimes even more, like almost 100%. You're kidding me. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Like, you'd think even back then there'd be more women, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I was just thinking about Amelia Earhart.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You know, she flew across the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Seems like a pretty big deal.
Right. You'd think that would be a Time cover for sure.
Exactly. So what's the deal with that?
Well, I think it really shows us how limited people thought women's roles were back then. Like, the covers, they were full of presidents and businessmen and these world leaders, and they were almost all men.
Right.
And it wasn't just about, reflecting what was happening, but it also reinforced those expectations that society had.
Interesting.
Like, this is what men do, this is what women do.
So it's almost telling people this is how it should be.
Exactly, yeah.
So when do we start to see things change a little bit? Like, when do we start to see more women?
Well, you start to see a little bit of a shift in the late 1980s.
Yeah.
More women were starting to work. More women were challenging those traditional roles.
Right.
And, the feminist movement that had been going on for a while, it really started to push for more equality.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like Time started to take notice a little bit.
Okay.
You start seeing a few more women on the cover.
Okay.
Maybe not a ton, but definitely more than before.
Right. So it's like small steps forward.
Yeah, baby steps.
But I'm thinking the 2010s, that's got to be the big turning point, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The 2010s were like everything changed.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a dam-breaking.
Wow.
You had movements like #MeToo shining a light on gender inequality.
Right.
Like it had never been before.
Yeah.
Women were demanding to be heard.
Uh-huh.
And it felt like Time and a lot of other media were like scrambling to catch up.
To catch up.
Yeah. Interesting.
You see this huge surge in how many women were on the cover.
Okay.
And not just the numbers, but the different kinds of women, too.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, too. I remember seeing more cover with women from, like, different jobs, different backgrounds, different ethnicities.
It wasn't just the same kind of woman anymore.
Yeah, it was a much wider range of women.
So do you think Time was, like, riding this cultural wave? Or do you think they were helping to create it?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, is it chicken or the egg?
Right.
The thing is, media can be both a mirror and a shaper of society. It shows us what's happening, but it can also influence how we see things.
It's true.
So when Time starts featuring all these different women and telling their stories, I think it definitely had an impact on how people saw women and what they expected from them.
It's like that red border really means something.
It does. Yeah, it's powerful.
And, looking at the numbers, by 2023,
Yeah.
we're almost at an even split on those covers.
Yeah, 57% male, 43% female.
It's pretty amazing considering, like, how it started out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But does that mean, like, we've achieved equality? Like, is that it?
Well, I think it's amazing progress.
Yeah.
But true equality, it's not just about numbers on a magazine cover. It's about equal power, equal pay, equal opportunities. It's about making sure women's voices are heard
Yeah.
and valued just as much as men's.
Not just on Time magazine, but everywhere.
Exactly, everywhere.
So I'm curious, like, how does Time compare to other magazines and newspapers? Are they all doing this well?
It's a mixed bag, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, some publications have made huge changes, others not so much.
Interesting.
But I think Time's journey shows us that change is possible,
Yeah.
but it takes work and it takes time.
And we have to keep paying attention.
Exactly.
So, wow, in less than 100 years, we've gone from almost no women on the cover of Time to almost a 50-50 split.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, it really shows how much things can change.
Yeah, and how much work goes into it.
So what do you think the next decade holds for Time magazine? And for women in media in general?
I don't know. That's a good question.
It is something to think about, though, right? Like how we all consume media, what stories we're listening to, and what kind of world we want to see.
I think we all have a role to play.
We do.
For sure.
All right. Well, that's about all the time we have for our deep dive today.
Great talking with you.
Yeah, this was a good one. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
And to everyone listening, keep those questions coming. And until next time, stay curious.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.